Welcome to the 18-plus horror podcast, Stories Too Dark for the Daylight. If you're brave enough, like and subscribe before it finds you.
The Enfield Poltergeist. Even the name whispers a chill down your spine, doesn't it? A seemingly ordinary house in Enfield, North London, became the epicenter of what many consider to be one of the most documented and disturbing cases of paranormal activity in history. It's 1977. Peggy Hodgson, a single mother, reports strange occurrences in her council house. Knocking sounds, furniture moving on its own. Initially, it might be dismissed as childish pranks, the creaks and groans of an old house. But then, things escalate, dramatically. Toys are thrown across rooms with unseen force. Beds levitate. A chilling, disembodied voice begins to communicate. A rasping growl emanating from a young girl, Janet, one of the Hodgson children. This wasn't just a haunting, it was a siege. And it all unfolded under the watchful eyes of investigators, journalists, and even skeptical police officers who witnessed these inexplicable events firsthand.
The sheer volume of witnesses lends a disturbing credence to the Enfield case. Police officers attested to seeing furniture move unaided. Journalists documented the chilling voice emanating from Janet, and paranormal investigators, including Maurice Grosse and Guy Lyon Playfair, spent months observing and recording the phenomena. Playfair, a known skeptic, initially believed it was a hoax orchestrated by the children seeking attention. However, after witnessing events he couldn't explain, like Janet levitating in her bed, he became convinced something genuinely unsettling was happening in that house. The voice, supposedly belonging to a deceased former occupant of the house, a Mr. Bill Wilkins, adds another layer of unsettling intrigue. It spoke through Janet, claiming to have died in the armchair downstairs. The voice wasn't just a ghostly whisper. It was described as guttural and menacing, capable of independent conversation and even swearing.
And the photographs. The iconic image of Janet seemingly levitating, her body contorted, her face a mask of terror, is burned into the collective memory of anyone who's delved into this case. While some argue the photo is evidence of a clever trick, the sheer number of witnesses to similar levitation incidents suggests a more complex reality. The Hodgson family wasn't seeking fame or fortune. In fact, the intense media scrutiny and the invasive presence of paranormal investigators placed immense strain on them. They endured psychological evaluations, accusations of fraud, and the constant fear of the unknown lurking within their own home. This wasn't a spectacle they orchestrated. It was a nightmare they were forced to endure. A nightmare that continues to fascinate and terrify to this day.
What truly sets the Enfield case apart is the duration and intensity of the activity. This wasn't a fleeting glimpse of a ghostly apparition, or a single unexplained noise in the night. This was a sustained barrage of paranormal activity that lasted for over a year, a relentless assault on the sanity of the Hodgson family. The voice continued to taunt and threaten. Objects continued to fly across rooms, and the atmosphere within the house remained thick with a palpable sense of dread. Despite rigorous investigations, no definitive explanation has ever been found. While skeptics point to the possibility of trickery and the suggestibility of young children, the sheer volume and variety of the phenomena, witnessed by so many credible individuals, make it difficult to dismiss the Enfield case as mere fabrication. It remains an open wound in the annals of paranormal investigation, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the most ordinary of places.
The year is 1977. Enfield, a borough in North London, becomes the epicenter of what would soon be known as one of the most documented and debated cases of alleged poltergeist activity, the Enfield Poltergeist. Our focus is on 284 Green Street, a seemingly ordinary council house occupied by single mother Peggy Hodgson and her 4 children, Margaret, Janet, Johnny, and Billy. The haunting, as reported, began subtly. Strange noises in the night, objects moving inexplicably. But what started as unsettling whispers soon escalated into a chilling crescendo of paranormal phenomena. We're not dealing with mere bumps in the night. We're talking levitation, disembodied voices, and objects reportedly flying across rooms. The Hodgson family, particularly 11-year-old Janet, became the focal point of this terrifying ordeal.
It's important to establish the context. This wasn't a grand, isolated manor in the countryside. This was a typical suburban setting, a close-knit community. This adds a layer of unsettling realism to the story. The family's claims attracted the attention of the media, paranormal investigators, and, of course, skeptics. Among the most notable investigators were Maurice Grosse and Guy Lyon Playfair from the Society for Psychical Research. They spent considerable time at the Green Street house, documenting the events and interviewing the family. Their reports detailed a disturbing array of occurrences, from furniture moving on its own to Janet seemingly being possessed by a gruff, malevolent entity claiming to be a previous occupant of the house. The case became a media sensation, with newspapers and television crews descending upon Enfield, hungry for a glimpse into the supernatural.
Playfair, in his book This House is Haunted, meticulously documented the events, even claiming to have witnessed objects moving and heard the disembodied voice firsthand. He details chilling instances of Janet's apparent levitation, violent outbursts, and even speaking in a voice that seemed to belong to an elderly man named Bill Wilkins, who had previously died in the house. Photographs and recordings were taken, some of which purportedly showed Janet levitating and objects moving unaided. Now, while some of these recordings and photographs have been disputed as potential hoaxes perpetrated by the children, the sheer volume of witnesses, including police officers and neighbors, adds a complex layer to the case. It begs the question, was this a genuine haunting, elaborate trickery, or a manifestation of something else entirely?
The involvement of the police is particularly interesting. Police Constable Carolyn Heaps called to the house, witnessed a chair move across the floor, seemingly on its own. This official account from a trained observer lends a degree of credibility to the claims. However, the skeptical view cannot be ignored. Critics point to inconsistencies in the accounts, the playful nature of some of the alleged poltergeist activity, and the possibility of the children seeking attention. The age of the children, the stressful circumstances of being a single-parent household, and the pressures of media attention all contribute to a complex psychological landscape. Some suggest that Janet, in particular, possessed a talent for ventriloquism and sleight of hand, potentially orchestrating some of the events, consciously or subconsciously. The debate continues to this day.
Let's delve into the first reported anomaly in the Enfield case, the incident that truly kicked off this terrifying saga. It was August 1977. Peggy Hodgson, a single mother, lived at 284 Green Street in Enfield, London, with her 4 children. One night, Peggy's 2 daughters, Margaret, 13, and Janet, 11, complained that their beds were shaking. Initially, Peggy dismissed it as childish pranks, but when she witnessed the furniture moving seemingly on its own, a deep unease settled in. She described a chest of drawers sliding across the floor, seemingly defying gravity. This wasn't just a creak or a settling house, this was something else entirely. It marked the beginning of what would become one of the most heavily documented and debated poltergeist cases in history. The fear in Peggy's voice during later interviews is palpable. This wasn't a thrill-seeker chasing ghosts. This was a mother terrified for her children.
This initial incident sets the stage for the escalating horror that the Hodgson family would endure. It begins subtly, almost easily dismissed. Shaking beds, something a tired parent might attribute to overactive imaginations. But the moving chest of drawers, that's where the ordinary explanation falls apart. There's a distinct shift from the mundane to the uncanny. The fact that Peggy witnessed it herself lends credibility to the girl's claims. It's no longer just children seeking attention. It's a shared experience, a collective witnessing of something inexplicable. And the documentation starts here. Neighbors, police officers, and eventually researchers would all corroborate these strange occurrences. The very nature of the first incident, furniture moving seemingly autonomously, establishes a pattern of physical manipulation that becomes a recurring theme throughout the haunting. This wasn't just about whispers and shadows. This was about a force, unseen and malevolent, interacting with the physical world.
The seemingly innocuous nature of the initial disturbance is what makes it so unsettling. It starts with the familiar, the beds, the furniture, objects that represent safety and comfort. By disrupting these commonplace elements, the unknown entity immediately infiltrates the most intimate spaces of the Hodgson home. turning the familiar into something threatening. Imagine the psychological impact. Your own house, your sanctuary, becomes the stage for unexplained phenomena. The unsettling shift from the known to the unknown is what truly ignites the horror. This wasn't just about things moving. It was about the implication that something else was present, something unseen, something manipulating their reality. And this initial intrusion sets a chilling precedent for what was yet to come.
Exactly. It's the insidious nature of the beginning that makes the Enfield case so compelling. It's not a sudden, dramatic haunting with spectral figures and disembodied screams. Instead, it's a slow, creeping dread that builds with each unexplained occurrence. The moving furniture is the first crack in the veneer of normalcy, a premonition of the escalating chaos that will soon engulf the Hodgson family. It's this slow burn, this gradual descent into the terrifying unknown that resonates with us on such a primal level. It plays on our innate fear of the unseen, the things that go bump in the night, the subtle shift in reality that suggests we are not alone, that something else is sharing our space, watching, waiting. And in the Enfield case, this something else was just beginning to make its presence known.
We're back with part 4 of our deep dive into the Enfield Poltergeist case, and honestly, the more we dig, the more unsettling it gets. We left off discussing the sheer volume of witnessed phenomena, objects flying across rooms, disembodied voices, even levitations. But what's even more disturbing is the seeming escalation of the events. It started with knocks and raps, classic poltergeist activity, but quickly morphed into something much more sinister. Janet, the 11-year-old at the center of it all, began speaking in a gruff, masculine voice, claiming to be a deceased former resident of the house named Bill Wilkins. This wasn't just a child playing pranks. Witnesses described a distinct change in her demeanor, a chilling transformation that left even seasoned investigators unnerved. The voice, captured on recordings, is undeniably creepy, adding another layer of authenticity to the already baffling case. How do we reconcile these escalating events with any rational explanation?
It's precisely this escalation that throws a wrench into any attempts at a simple explanation. Initially, skeptics pointed to the girls, suggesting they were orchestrating the events for attention. Teenage girls, a bored suburban setting. It's a convenient narrative. But the sheer complexity and intensity of the phenomena, particularly as it progressed, make that theory increasingly difficult to swallow. We're talking about heavy furniture moving on its own, objects appearing and disappearing, and this disturbing voice communicating intricate details about the house's history that the girls couldn't have known. Furthermore, numerous credible witnesses, including police officers and journalists, corroborated these occurrences. They saw Janet Hodgson levitating, witnessed objects hurtling across the room, and heard the unsettling growls and pronouncements of the alleged entity. How do we explain these independent accounts if it were merely adolescent mischief? It's a question that continues to haunt researchers and fuels the enduring mystery of Enfield.
The attempts to debunk the Enfield case often focus on the potential for trickery, particularly on the part of the children. Some photographs, for example, show Janet seemingly bending spoons herself, and skeptics highlight these as evidence of fraud. While acknowledging the possibility of some staged events, dismissing the entire case based on a few potentially manipulated photos seems incredibly short-sighted. We have countless eyewitness accounts from reputable sources, voice recordings of the entity, and the documented psychological distress experienced by the Hodgson family, particularly Janet. To reduce this complex and multifaceted phenomenon to mere childish pranks ignores the overwhelming body of evidence suggesting something far more inexplicable was at play within that house. It's a disservice to the witnesses and the enduring mystery surrounding the Enfield Poltergeist.
And the psychological impact on the family, especially Janet, can't be ignored. Even if we were to entertain the idea that some events were fabricated, the sheer intensity and duration of the alleged haunting took a significant toll. Reports detail Janet experiencing night terrors, exhibiting trance-like states, and displaying profound emotional distress. This wasn't a fleeting episode of playful mischief. It was a sustained period of intense psychological strain. Coupled with the independently verified accounts from external witnesses, The psychological element adds another layer of complexity to the Enfield case. It suggests that even if some elements were consciously or subconsciously manufactured by the girls, something more profound, something genuinely disturbing, may have been triggered within that environment, latching onto the vulnerabilities of a young girl and manifesting in a terrifying and inexplicable way. The Enfield case isn't just about moving furniture. It's about the intersection of the psychological and the paranormal, a dark and unsettling confluence that continues to defy easy explanation.
The escalating phenomena within the Hodgson house were becoming impossible to ignore. Peggy Hodgson, the single mother, described witnessing furniture moving on its own, seemingly defying gravity. Heavy dressers sliding across the floor, chairs levitating, and objects flying across rooms became commonplace. The disturbances seemed focused around her two daughters, Janet and Margaret, aged 11 and 12 respectively. Witnesses, including neighbors and police officers, corroborated these accounts, adding their own chilling observations of disembodied voices, cold spots, and the inexplicable levitation of the girls. One police constable described seeing a chair rock violently and move across the floor with no apparent physical force. The sheer number of witnesses lending credibility to these events is what makes Enfield so compelling, so utterly disturbing. What began as knocks and whispers escalated into a full-blown poltergeist assault on the family.
The alleged possession of Janet Hodgson is where this case takes its darkest turn. Witnesses reported Janet speaking in a gruff, masculine voice, claiming to be a deceased previous occupant of the house, an elderly man named Bill Wilkins. During these episodes, Janet's voice would change dramatically, her body contorting and levitating, sometimes even being violently thrown across the room. Photographs taken during these occurrences showed Janet suspended in midair, her face contorted in apparent distress. While skeptics point to potential trickery and attention-seeking behavior from the girls, the sheer number of witnesses, including experienced paranormal investigators like Maurice Gross and Guy Lyon Playfair, lends weight to the possibility of something genuinely unsettling occurring. Playfair himself documented the case extensively, admitting that while some events might be explained by the girls' pranks, others remained utterly inexplicable. He describes a sense of palpable dread within the house, a feeling echoed by many who entered.
The voice of Bill Wilkins emanating from Janet became progressively more aggressive and threatening. He would recount details about his death, the agony of his final moments, and his resentment towards the family occupying his former home. The chilling descriptions, coupled with Janet's altered state and physical manifestations, created an atmosphere of pure terror for everyone present. Imagine the psychological impact on the family, particularly the young girls at the center of it all. They were children, subjected to intense scrutiny and fear, trapped in a maelstrom of paranormal activity they couldn't control or comprehend. The relentless nature of the phenomena, the constant fear of the unknown, the invasion of their home by unseen forces, it's a recipe for psychological trauma, whether or not you believe in the supernatural.
Beyond the physical manifestations and disembodied voices, the Enfield case presented a chilling psychological dimension. The constant barrage of paranormal activity seemed to take its toll on the Hodgson family. Reports of sleep deprivation, anxiety, and emotional distress became commonplace. The girls, especially Janet, became the focal point of this paranormal onslaught, their lives irrevocably altered. Even if some incidents were fabricated, the psychological impact of living under such intense scrutiny and fear is undeniable. The Enfield case doesn't just explore the potential for paranormal activity. It delves into the human cost of living with the inexplicable, the terrifying consequences of a home invaded by unknown forces, and the lingering trauma that can haunt individuals long after the events have subsided. The case serves as a stark reminder that horror doesn't always manifest in physical forms. Sometimes the most unsettling horrors reside within the human psyche.
The more we delve into the Enfield case, the less certain I become about anything. Initially, it seemed like a classic poltergeist haunting, mischievous and attention-seeking. Objects flying across rooms, disembodied voices, levitation. Janet, the 11-year-old girl at the center of it all, seemed genuinely terrified. But then, the details start to unravel. The inconsistencies in witness testimonies, the questionable photographic evidence, and Janet's own shifting narratives. It makes you wonder if the whole thing was an elaborate hoax, a desperate cry for help, or something far more sinister. One theory I find particularly disturbing is the possibility of a dark history attached to the house itself, something predating the Hodgson family's arrival. A lingering malevolence, perhaps, feeding off the vulnerability of the occupants. Perhaps a previous tragedy, a hidden crime, a buried secret that somehow imprinted itself on the very fabric of the place, waiting to be unearthed.
I agree. The layers of deception and ambiguity are what make Enfield so compelling, yet so frustrating. It's like peeling back the layers of a rotten onion, each layer more pungent and unsettling than the last. The voice of the supposed poltergeist, identified as an elderly man named Bill Wilkins, claiming to have died in the house, initially lent credence to the haunting. But then, investigations revealed inconsistencies in Wilkins' story. He hadn't died in the armchair as claimed, but in a different part of the house altogether. This detail, while seemingly minor, casts a shadow of doubt over the entire narrative. Was Janet ventriloquizing? Was she influenced by external forces, perhaps unconsciously tapping into a residual energy left by Wilkins? Or was it a combination of both? A suggestible young girl inadvertently opening a doorway to something she couldn't comprehend, something that then latched onto her fears and anxieties, amplifying them into a terrifying spectacle.
That's precisely the chilling possibility. Imagine a house absorbing the trauma and negativity of past events, almost like a psychic sponge. The energy becoming stagnant, festering, until it finds a conduit, a vulnerable individual to express itself through. Janet, with her turbulent family life and perhaps latent psychic abilities, might have been the perfect catalyst. Some researchers have suggested the house itself, located near a waterway, could be situated on a confluence of negative energy lines, a so-called black spot. These locations are often associated with heightened paranormal activity. Whether these theories hold any water or not, the fact remains that something extraordinary occurred in that house. The sheer number of witnesses, including police officers and respected journalists, lends a degree of credibility to the events. They couldn't all have been hallucinating, could they?
The police involvement is a particularly intriguing aspect. WPC Carolyn Heaps, a seasoned officer, witnessed a chest of drawers slide across the floor unaided. Her written testimony, filed officially, adds an unsettling layer of legitimacy to the case. She couldn't explain it, and neither could anyone else. It wasn't just objects moving, either. Witnesses described seeing Janet levitating, her body contorted in unnatural positions, a chilling spectacle that defied rational explanation. Maurice Gross, one of the primary investigators, became deeply convinced of the haunting's authenticity, even developing a close bond with Janet. He believed she was genuinely afflicted, a victim of circumstances beyond her control. But even he acknowledged the ambiguities, the moments of suspected trickery, the inconsistencies that plagued the case. This blend of the seemingly genuine and the potentially fabricated is what makes Enfield so unnerving. It leaves us questioning the very nature of reality, blurring the lines between truth and deception in a way that few other cases have.
So we've discussed the seemingly endless parade of paranormal activity at 284 Green Street, levitating furniture, disembodied voices, objects flying across rooms, Janet Hodgson's supposed demonic possession, a case documented by seasoned investigators, captured on tape, even witnessed by police officers. Yet, even with all this, there's a lingering ambiguity. The Society for Psychical Research, while acknowledging some genuine phenomena, suggested much of it was fabricated by the Hodgson girls, attention-seeking pranks amidst family turmoil. It throws a chilling, yet unsettlingly plausible shadow over the whole thing. Did the girls orchestrate this elaborate hoax, manipulating the media and seasoned paranormal researchers? Or were they genuinely victims, caught in a vortex of terrifying supernatural forces they couldn't control? This uncertainty is perhaps the most disturbing element of the Enfield case.
It's a complicated puzzle, and the skepticism is understandable. Teenage girls, a known history of playing pranks, a family under immense stress. These factors create fertile ground for doubt. Yet, dismissing everything as fabrication ignores the compelling evidence, the witnessed levitation, the independent accounts of disembodied voices, the recorded EVP sessions. Even Maurice Grosse, initially skeptical, became convinced of the haunting's authenticity. He remained deeply involved with the family for years, convinced something genuinely malevolent resided within the walls of 284 Green Street. His unwavering belief, despite the controversy, adds another layer to the enigma. Was he a victim of elaborate manipulation, or did he truly witness something beyond human comprehension?
What about the voice of Bill Wilkins, the supposed deceased former resident who claimed to have died in an armchair in the house? Janet's guttural, masculine voice, drastically different from her own, uttering chilling details about Wilkins' life and death, was undeniably unnerving. While skeptics point to Janet's ventriloquism skills, others argue the sheer volume and consistency of the voice, captured on multiple recordings, defy conventional explanation. The fact that some details provided by, quote, Bill were later verified adds an unsettling layer of credibility. This lingering possibility that a deceased man was communicating through a young girl is perhaps the most terrifying aspect of the Enfield case. It's a chilling thought that continues to fuel speculation even today.
Exactly. And even if we entertain the theory of fabrication, what about the psychological impact on those involved? The Hodgson family endured intense scrutiny, public ridicule, and emotional trauma. Even if the events were staged, the consequences were undeniably real. The lingering question remains: what darkness, real or imagined, took root in that house? And what scars did it leave behind? The Enfield Poltergeist, regardless of its true nature, remains a disturbing testament to the enduring power of fear and the fragility of the human psyche. It's a story with no easy answers, leaving us with a haunting sense of unease and the unsettling realization that some mysteries may forever remain unsolved.
So we've meticulously dissected the Enfield case, examined the evidence, the witness testimonies, the recordings, and even the skeptical viewpoints. Yet, we're left with more questions than answers. The sheer volume of reported phenomena, the levitating furniture, the disembodied voices, the alleged demonic possession of Janet, it's overwhelming. Even if we discard some instances as pranks or misinterpretations, a substantial core of unexplained activity persists. The police involvement, the numerous witnesses, including respected journalists and paranormal investigators, lend a strange credence to the narrative. And what about the voice of Bill Wilkins emanating from Janet? Was it a subconscious manifestation, a clever trick, or something far more sinister? The unsettling details, the sheer persistence of the alleged haunting, it continues to grip our collective imagination decades later.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it? To think of an ordinary family, in an ordinary house, suddenly besieged by unseen forces. The psychological toll on the Hodgson family, especially the children, must have been immense. The constant fear, the disruption to their lives, the public scrutiny, it's hard to fathom, and the ambiguity of it all adds another layer of unease. We've explored various explanations, from the psychological, suggesting Janet's subconscious was the source of the disturbances, to the paranormal, hinting at a genuine haunting, perhaps even a demonic presence. Even the skeptics, while attributing some events to trickery, haven't been able to debunk the entire phenomenon satisfactorily. This lingering uncertainty is what makes Enfield so disturbingly compelling.
Exactly. It's that lingering doubt, that sliver of possibility, that something truly unexplainable occurred within the walls of 284 Green Street that continues to chill us to the bone. The sheer number of witnesses, the documented occurrences, the recordings, they all paint a picture of a family truly terrorized. Whether it was a genuine haunting, a complex case of mass hysteria, or a combination of both, the Enfield Poltergeist case remains a stark reminder of the unknown that lurks just beyond our perception. The thought that such forces could intrude upon our reality, our homes, at any moment, that's a truly unsettling prospect. It leaves us questioning the very nature of reality and the boundaries between the tangible and the intangible.
And as we delve deeper into these mysteries, as we peel back the layers of these chilling narratives, we're confronted with the unsettling realization that sometimes the most terrifying stories are the ones that remain unresolved. The Enfield case, with its chilling accounts and lingering ambiguities, serves as a stark testament to the enduring power of the unknown. If you're intrigued by the unsettling, by the stories that defy explanation, join us next time as we venture into another realm of the unexplained, another chilling tale from the annals of the paranormal. Until then, keep the lights on. You never know what might be lurking in the shadows.
That was this week's Dive into Darkness. Subscribe to the 18+ Horror Podcast and come back if you can sleep again.
You've been listening to Whispers After Midnight. Sweet dreams, if you can sleep.